This is no news to you. After air, food, and water, an absolute essential for life is hope. The Apostle Paul wrote a beautiful blessing in Romans 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. Well, I discovered again last night that he can. We were driving into the city of Toronto in torrential rain and lightning under a tornado watch. This is how the CN Tower looked from our car just before 7 p.m. as the storm began to move on. From the sound of thunder to the sound of music, it was quite a night. Our goal every day on this live program is to point you to the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, and hope that is eternal. Marva Tyndale brought a fresh challenge when she visited our Full Circle couch recently. She would like us to become Hope Keeper warriors on behalf of the next generation. This mother of four has written a book entitled Keeping Our Hope Alive, Strategies to Restore Teens and Young Adults. Let's briefly revisit that Full Circle program.
I want to just share this poem from Ruth Bell Graham's book, Prodigals and Those Who Love Them, that has really touched my life. It's Nancy Hornick wrote this poem. It's called I Am Your Child. And this is the voice of a young person speaking. I am your child. Do you know me? I cannot cry out as once I did. 10 years, 15 now past. Then you knew, as I did, that I needed you. I am your child. Can you hear me? My cry is muffled in withdrawal, transformed into rebellion, bitter, unlovely, reaching out for love. Mother, are you there? And we may change that that last line. Father, are you there? My church, are you there? Community, are you there? Older generation, are you there? Because I am crying out and I'm needing for you to understand and to reach out and to just come in a place of believing for me when I can't believe for myself.
Yeah, that's powerful.
When we talk about standing in the gap for our children, there's a break in that relationship. And when we believe for them and hope for them and pray for them, we're building a bridge. Their faith isn't strong enough to build that bridge, to bring them back to a place, the place of destiny God intended. But our prayers build that bridge. Our prayers open the way for God to come in.
Surrogate hope. I just had that thought. The poem by Nancy Hornick is in Ruth Bell Graham's book, Prodigals and Those Who Love Them. I interviewed Mrs. Graham in 1994 and asked what kept her hope afloat during very difficult years with rebellious, wayward sons. She said repeatedly, I had all the promises of God. What if your life is defined by disease, depression, and disaster? As a young girl, Sue Minns stuffed a blanket in her mouth at night and screamed herself to sleep. By the age of 16, she was undergoing psychiatric therapy for depression. She and her teenage friends would get together to bake brownies and plan their funerals. At 19, Sue was given a Bible by her mother, who wasn't interested in the gift from a holy roller at work. At 22, Sue Minns was born again. Now, if you find Jesus' words uncomfortable, you just have to see the new Sue. She's married to Rick, a man she met in group therapy. She's a loving mother who lives with buoyant hope despite the multiple sclerosis that has put her in a wheelchair. She's also the survivor of a devastating house fire.
I told that kid to clean his room, and look what he did with it. That we had a house fire.
This was pretty
that
serious.
Big hole in the wall was where the firemen ripped the wall. Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, this wasn't chips on the stove that started to smoke heavily. This was the whole house.
Now, you say the smell of oregano is traumatic today.
It is now. I start worrying about it because I had cancer in 1999 and I had the house fire. When we had our house fire, my boys were across the street at a lady across the street's house. It was in March. They were over there with blankets. When I came in, my older son was just crying and almost going to throw up. He was so upset. And my younger son, I got to tell you this, my younger son looked at me and he said, Daddy swore on the street. You want to hear what he said? He'd never heard his father swear in his life, right? I said, well, there's enough policemen around that they'll get to Daddy if that happens again. But I said, boys, you watch what God's going to do here. I said, he's going to do something wonderful. We're just going to have to hold his hand for a little while. And I said, you watch. The ladies from the church are going to start delivering casseroles before those firemen leave. And sure enough, they did. I've got about 57 casseroles. And so now I got 57 lasagnas. So now when I smell oregano, I get worried. Because the same thing happened to me when I had cancer. 45 lasagnas. I've still got casserole dishes. I have no idea who they belong to.
So that's not what you would order in a restaurant.
No,
Lasagna.
Not now.
You kind of lasagna it out. But you had faith there in the midst of this disaster that God would meet you in a special way.
Oh, totally. I knew it. I knew it. And that amazes me. I'm telling you, Moira, it's a daily thing. It amazes me when it happens, when we're going through a trouble and my mind gets transformed by the renewing of your mind. And he has done that with me. I am prone to depression. My husband's prone to depression. So that when we can turn and say, you know what, God's doing a new thing here. And we believe it totally. It amazes me to this day.
Now, when you say God is doing a new thing,
Oh, yeah.
you are looking at something you would never have chosen, like your house burned out or a cancer diagnosis.
Public speaking. He's got me out talking to hundreds and hundreds of people every single time. Like today here, Susan Menz is on Huntley Street. How'd that happen? And it amazes me all the time. He just keeps bringing me out.
The Lord has brought a humorist out of despair. This rubber chicken was a parting gift from Sue. Did you notice the red stilettos she was wearing? She can't dance, but she can still celebrate life. And you can enjoy her whole visit with us at 100huntley.com and share it with a friend who's lost hope. Sue Menz continually expresses confidence in God's plan B, whatever disappointments life throws at her. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8, if you want to read that promise again. This is a time for hope. God is in control. He is big enough, whatever your circumstance. Call our prayer lines if you need a faith lift.